Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back to Chapter 3 of The Way of the Superior Man with Step and Trent. Chapter 3 is Live as if your father were dead. A man must love his father and yet be free of his father's expectations and criticisms in order to be a free man.
I think it's very tough to have both of them. It's tough to both love your father and kind of let go of his criticisms at the same time. Because it's one thing to be frustrated or angry with your father, and then the expectations don't necessarily matter as much. But to actually love him and to kind of let go of his expectations and be free to be your own man, I think it's a very tricky combination.
I agree. Imagine that your father has died, or remember when he did die. Are there any feelings of relief associated with his death? Now that he is dead, is any part of you happy that you need not live up to his expectations or suffer his criticisms? There goes Data with the deep questions. It's definitely not one that I think about regularly.
What's your thoughts on it?
Um, this is gonna sound awful, because it is a burden, or like my parents' judgment and criticisms and expectations definitely are a burden. Um, but and that one that I would feel relief from, say if they were to pass away. But of course, I value their company much more so than that relief. So I definitely don't wish that fate upon them anytime soon.
Mhm.
But yes, it's definitely a burden.
It's not necessarily a burden. It's just that the trickier part is the loving it. Because I feel like my life direction, my purpose is much different than my dad's, and like that kind of direction of the family. And it's more of a burden to try to actually provide that love because it's like I just want to go my own path, do my own thing, while their kind of covert contracts or expectations and stuff like that just aren't really in line with what I want to live for my life.
Hmm. Opposites. How would you have lived your life differently if you had never tried to please your father? If you never tried to show your father that you were worthy? If you never felt burdened by your father's critical eye? So that's why this question probably doesn't feel relevant because you've been living like that.
Yeah, it's more so that I've kind of been going about my own life, and there's certainly a part of me that would like to have that appreciation or understanding for what I'm doing. But I've kind of come to the expectation or conclusion or whatever that the life I want to live is very counter, very different than the life that he wants to live. Kind of reminds me of John Maxwell's free agents kind of discussion where he's talking about how his father's generation loyalty was like very important. And you like kind of stick with the company for life, whereas his generation younger kind of look at themselves as free agents. They get to go off and whatever opportunity is best served for them. And I kind of feel like I have that own divide with me and my dad is that he kind of has that loyalty expectation with family is that your blood and you come together to do whatever, regardless of if it's beneficial or not. Whereas my kind of definition of family is more of like that free agent of like, they're my family if it's kind of beneficial for both of us. And if it's not beneficial for both of us, it's just not really that same kind of connection.
For the next 3 days, do at least one activity a day that you have avoided or suppressed because of the influence of your father. In this way, practice being free of his subtle expectations, which may now reside within your own self judgment. Practice being free in this way, once each day for 3 days, even if you still feel fearful, limited, unworthy, or burdened by your father's expectations.
So what would be that one thing for you?
Mm, I think ever since I moved out, my moving out was probably extremely difficult for me. I think I
Hmm.
took like 3 months to get over the emotional guilt and pain of that. Um, but once I moved out, it was a lot easier to live um, in my own life. I mean, definitely there's still a lot of myself that I suppress because of fear of judgment. For example, work at the liquor store was very difficult. Um, uh, and but one thing, because I feel like I've been working a lot on being free of expectations now, but what is still like one thing? that that I may have suppressed because of parental expectations. I don't can't believe that comes to mind, but I don't know if you have anything that
Well,
you
one
can
question
see.
I might have for you is how much of your desire for spirituality is tied up with what your parents expect and believe?
Um, always bring up spirituality. Or try to poke holes in spirituality. I feel like my parents' brand of spirituality is very different than my brand. In fact, my brand may actually be something that they may not like, and it's something that I've been practicing, I guess, despite the potential negativity from them.
Mhm.
Because theirs is very much focused on emptiness and getting rid of sensual desires, whereas mine is like focused on fullness and using pleasure as a portal to greater openness, which isn't something I think that they would necessarily approve of.
Mhm.
Um, but I think probably it's just probably sexuality related.
Mhm.
Um, so maybe like the way I dress, how I interact with the opposite gender. So those are things I subconsciously suppress
Mhm.
because of like those kind of parental judgment, which I like this line here is which now resides within your own self judgment because it's kind of that internalized voice now.
Mhm. Cool, cool. I'm not sure if you have anything else to add.
I'm not sure what the activity would be, um, but probably that may not be appropriate for this audience. So we shall just leave it here. And thanks for watching and have a great day.
Hello.